Physit's joint Easy-fier. Okay, I have a chain model in the scene, a ball and chain. Think about medieval dungeon type objects here. I'm going to have this chain dangle, and it's going to be suspended from the air for the sake of this video. Okay, and I have a texture placed onto it from T3D. Okay, now I have the collision colors already set up here, and I prefer to have my suspended objects set with box collision. You do not need to follow that rule. But anyways, let's move on. Let's select the object that we want suspended and add it to the suspended list. Now we're only using one object in this model, so let's add it to the list. We can now export the model, and I prefer DTS. Okay. That model is exported. Now what you'll see in scene is a bunch of actors here that are see-through, and they're actually not renderable either. And what you think is your original model, but it's actually a copy. This copy is placed into scene so that you can adjust your actors to represent the physical volume of the meshes that the actors are going to use for simulation. Okay, we want everything to work in unison and look proper. Now I know that I'm going to delete this because I know that my model is pretty close to what I expect. Okay, I'm going to joint these objects now. I select the first object, and since I have a hanging chain, I just find it right to start at the top and go down. And I'm going to join with a joint. Select the objects, join with a joint, and so on. Oops. I had a joint selected. As you can see, that error popped up, alerting me to what I was doing wrong. And mistakes happen. Okay. Now this last joint I'm going to move up a little bit, and I'll explain how the joint locations are calculated in the more in-depth video series. But anyways, let's move on. Okay, now we have our joints placed into scene, and we could export this as it is. However, we have two problems. I want the chain to swing freely, and this is not going to happen because since this chain is dangling, I need the joints facing downward because this will help the angle of the joints just work better. Okay. Now in order to edit these joints, all we need to do is click refresh list, and the joints in the scene menu will populate. All the joints will be selected, and we can change the facing direction of the joints. I'm going -Z. As you can see, you can choose what you like on the fly. And I'm going to go down a little further, and this is in the documentation here. I'm going to increase these joint angles and nothing more. And in order to update the scene, I click refresh the list. It's going to refresh the scene as well as select the joints again. You see that the joints are facing downward now and the angle has been increased. I am satisfied with the way that this looks. I could run the simulation, but I already know how it's going to act. And let's Physit export. Okay, I'm going to open T3D. And I've loaded T3D and placed many of these objects in the scene. Exit the world editor. Whoops. Exit the world editor, and you'll see our joints are swinging.